Such systems as GURPS are often criticized for having too many options. There are literal hundreds of advantages, skills, books, optional rules, and even combat maneuvers. All this can cause a so-called choice paralysis. A GM might get stuck thinking about what kind of game he wants to run and what books and rules to use. A player might take a long time thinking about what actions to perform in combat, and the same player might take a very long time creating a character. There are just so many possibilities. I have first-hand experience with choice paralysis, and in this video I will tell you how to deal with it. From the point of view of a GM, it might be difficult to decide what kind of game you want to run. Even if you have a setting document, it might still hold so many possibilities. For example, Caroline, my own kitchen sink fantasy setting, has more than 100 of different nations. How do I decide where to start? I just write up a list, then load it to random.org lists, and then work from there. So far it has been working out just fine. However, the issue of choice paralysis is more pronounced from the player's perspective. I don't even think that this is a GURPS exclusive problem. I have encountered it when playing D&D 3.5 and Pathfinder, as there are dozens of classes, races, archetypes, alternate class features, and thousands of feats and spells. D&D 5e probably does not have this problem, as it features barely any character customization compared to that. While there might be many options available, a particular game does not have to allow them all. In D&D, I used to hate it when the GM was limiting your options, and it was one of the most difficult things to unlearn when switching to GURPS. Now, when I'm playing or running GURPS games, I understand that the GM must limit the players both to facilitate a better experience and to help them avoid choice paralysis. For example, even when you are playing a D&D game, you don't just tell the players to make third level characters. Or in GURPS, you don't tell them to make 200-point fantasy adventurers. As a GM, you should clearly define the premise of the game and the part of the game world where it begins. This alone will narrow down the options available to the players. For example, in the game I'm currently running, the action happens in Hevroia, a theocratic human nation where the clergy of the tyrannical and extremely xenophobic human god Xeros reigns supreme. The player characters are supposed to be the agents of the Inquisition. While the setting itself intentionally has as much variety as possible, this premise greatly narrows down the options. The only race available is human, and only a couple of ethnicities make sense for this geographical region. The players do not have to worry about scrolling through the entire 300 pages long document about all the races of the world. Since this is a theocratic nation, the characters must be worshippers of Xeros, the patron deity of humans. On one hand, this limits the options, but on the other hand, it opens up other possibilities. For example, the players have to think how devout their characters are. Are they pious worshippers? Do they only pay lip service to the deity? Are they part of the actual church structure? Do they have clerical investment? Do they have religious rank? Do they have divine powers, and if they do, how many levels or what powers? Do they focus on the aggressive aspects of faith, such as exterminating all non-humans, or on more passive aspects of it, such as perfecting your body and mind and protecting humanity? Such restrictions, in my opinion, limit the breadth of options, but allow you to focus on the depth of your options, if that makes any sense. Would the Inquisitors have druids among their ranks? No, they wouldn't. What about sorcerers? No, the tainted bloodlines of sorcerers are something people of Hevroia are trying to exterminate. As a result, despite these seemingly harsh limitations, I got 4 very different characters that nonetheless fit the premise. A middle-rank extremely devout priestess of Xeros, an initiate wizard that conducts research for the Inquisition, a former criminal who now has involuntary duty to the Inquisition, and a knight of a religious order adjacent to the church. I did not get a half-dragon telekineticist from another continent or anything like that. For my upcoming military game, I'll probably make restrictions even harsher. Something like we need a rifleman, a combat medic, a machine gunner, a grenadier, and a squad leader. Thus, in my experience, regardless of the system being used, the GM has to provide enough background information to give the players a good idea of what characters would make sense in the game and what characters would not. If this requirement is met, the characters will basically write themselves, and the problem of choice paralysis will be alleviated, at least partially. Do you have any other thoughts on the subject? If you do, feel free to share your experience in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.